on your life so far, when have been the times that you have learnt the most, that your education has deepened the most? Has it been when your life has been going quite easily, when you're not being very stretched, when you're living nicely in your comfort zone? Or has it been when you've been going through quite a difficult patch, when you're feeling really stretched beyond your limits, and when you are a very long way outside your comfort zone? A key way that we deepen our education is through getting ourselves out of our comfort zone. Some years back, I went on a very long bicycle ride across the world. For about 3 years, I rode my bicycle across the world, and for much of those 3 years, I was very far outside my comfort zone, and I was also learning a lot. I learned a lot about the world, I learned a lot about humanity, and I learned a lot about myself. And this morning, I'm going to tell you briefly about one small section of that bicycle expedition and reflect on some of the things that I learnt during that time. And just to set this in context, to explain the whole trip, what I did, I was living in England at the time, and I'd just left my job as a geography teacher and decided I wanted to go and explore the world on my bicycle. But rather than setting off from London and cycling into the world, I thought it would be more fun if I flew as far away from home as possible and then tried to cycle back again. So that's what I did. I flew to northeast Russia, got off the plane with my bike, started cycling, and over the first year or so, I cycled down, if you can just see that little red line, cycled down through Russia, then down through Japan, and then up through South Korea, down through China, and I reached Hong Kong. So that was the first year of my journey, getting myself to Hong Kong. From Hong Kong, I decided I was going to take a little detour going south down to Australia. But I had a problem because there was a lot of water to get across on the way to Australia. Couldn't ride my bike there, and although it might have been very sensible to jump on a plane and fly to Australia like most people did, it just felt a bit like cheating to jump on a plane in the middle of the trip. So I thought, I'm not going to fly, but I can't ride my bicycle. How can I get to Australia? I'm going to have to hitchhike on boats. So first of all, I hitchhiked on a yacht. I managed to find a yacht from over in Hebe Haven Yacht Club in Sai Kung across to the Philippines, cycled through the Philippines. Then I found a cargo ship going from the Philippines down to Indonesia. And then I did find a ferry heading across towards the island of New Guinea. And I was going to now go through the exotic land of Papua New Guinea, which is what I shall tell you about now. Well, that was my first sighting of New Guinea. I didn't know a lot about the place. It looked very mysterious, quite frightening in a way. It was just covered in jungles and clouds and mountains. And as I cycled along throughout my expedition, I did quite a lot of research trying to find out not just what the guidebooks said, but trying to find out firsthand what other people who live in the places I was going to said about those places. And I would stop off in internet cafes and send emails to all my friends and my friends of friends and my friends of friends and friends. And I'd ask everybody I could find out, what is this next country I'm about to go through like? And sometimes I would get replies. And just before I got to Papua New Guinea, I got a reply from a friend of a friend. And this is what he said. I should warn you that travel in PNG, Papua New Guinea, can be quite dangerous. I've been held at gunpoint and robbed 16 times and have been caught in crossfire from warring tribes using M16s and the like. I don't mean to be negative, but I'm sure you would want to make informed decisions on where you travel. Well, to put it mildly, I was now out of my comfort zone in quite an extreme way, and I knew I was going to learn a lot if I managed to make it through Papua New Guinea in one piece. So I said a prayer, I took my courage in both hands, and I headed towards the border, across the Indonesian border and into the jungles of Papua New Guinea. For the first few days, well, the first day the road was quite good. The second day the road turned into a muddy road. The third day the road turned into a little track through the jungle. There were no maps, There were no road signs. I was terrified. I heard all these strange sounds, hissing and buzzing and strange chirping noises coming out of the jungle. I thought, maybe I'm just going to get lost in here. Nobody will ever see me again. But then I came down a hill. I came to this river. There were all these houses on stilts next to the river. And these two guys stepped out from behind a house. One of them at the time was holding a big bow. The other one had a baseball cap on. And they said, why don't you come and stay in our house tonight? And I said, thank you so much. So I went into the house. That is Yagi on the left-hand side and his cousin Anderson on the right. And they took very good care of me. They cooked me bananas and plantains on the fire for dinner. And actually, one of the greatest things I learned on this 3-year expedition is that there are a lot of very kind people in the world. I found everywhere I went, from Russia to Australia to Afghanistan, almost everywhere I went, almost everybody I met was kind and helpful. I did occasionally meet less friendly people. I did get robbed a couple of times on the way and so on. But 99% of the people were actually surprisingly friendly. And that was a really good lesson for me to learn. Well, as I was having dinner with Yagi and Anderson, and I was explaining to them how frightened I was that I was going to get lost, and they said to me, look, Rob, tomorrow when you set off, why don't we come with you? We will walk with you. We will show you a route out of the jungle back to the sea, to the coast. And next to the sea, there is a road. We call it the beach road. You can follow the beach road all the way to the next town. You won't get lost. Why don't we show you the way? And I thought, well, that's a great idea. Thank you very much. So the next day, we set off walking together. It was great to have company again. I don't know if you can see in Yagi's right hand, he's got an enormous knife. And so I felt a little bit safer. Now I was with Yagi and his knife. And we walked for about a day, and we finally broke out of the jungle. We made it to the beach road. I was so happy to reach this beach road. It was a beautiful beach. The only trouble was it was not a road. It was just a beach. And so I just had to start pushing my bike through the sand very slow. I don't know if you've ever tried to ride a bicycle on a beach. It's not really possible. So I was pushing my bike about 1 mile an hour. All sorts of obstacles started to come up before me now. Sometimes there were rivers. I had to balance my bike on a canoe, ask somebody to kindly paddle me across. Sometimes there were inlets from the sea. I had to take all the bags off my bike, carry it over my head through the sea, hoping that a wave wouldn't knock me over. Sometimes there were shallow rivers, and I just had to walk through quickly, hoping there weren't too many crocodiles around. I was still very far outside of my comfort zone. And then I made it as far as I could along the north coast of Papua New Guinea. Then I had to cross the middle of the island, which is basically lots of big mountains, to get to the south coast of Papua New Guinea. And I met some new friends. That's John on the left, and then that's Tom just standing beside me. And John and Tom said they'd show me a route through the mountains. So we set off walking. They helped me carry some of my stuff up into the mountains. You can see the clouds are beginning to roll in, and rainy season is about to arrive.